The next step in our project is to add color to our character. And the tool we're going to primarily use to add the color is the paint bucket, and we'll be discussing the paint bucket and its options in just a little bit. But before we start adding the color, we're going to want to make sure that the outline of our character doesn't have any gaps in it. So I'm going to zoom in on an area where I know there is a gap, and we'll take a close look at that. Now when I use the paint bucket to fill in this area, I'm going to want the back of the mouth to be separate from the gum and the gum to be separate from the tooth. So I'm going to pick a color that would go well with the back of the mouth, and I'll select the paint bucket and I'll fill in this area. Now you'll notice how it filled it all in. Now I don't want that, so I'm going to go Edit, Undo Paint Bucket. Okay. Now I'm going to select the default color black and select a pencil, and I already have a good pencil size selected. Remember, we want the pencil because it paints in just pure color. The paintbrush would give us an anti-aliased effect. And what we're going to want to do is go around and examine our character, and I'm pressing the space bar, and that turns it into the hand. I press the space bar and it allows me to scroll around, and I'm going to want to make sure and fill in any gaps that I think the paint bucket might find and bleed through into other areas. Okay, and I don't believe I have a lot of areas that I need to fix here. But if at a later time I found that I missed one and I fill in with a paint bucket and it bleeds into an undesired area, I could just undo and then make the correction at that particular time. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out. Remember, View and Fit on Screen or Command 0. These are your shortcuts, and you should really start to use these because it can save you a lot of time. So that zooms me back out to fit the whole document on the screen. And now I'm ready to start adding color. But before I start adding color with the paint bucket, I'm going to want to put the color on a separate layer. I've got this one titled Outline, and we already have another layer here that we can use. So I'm going to select that layer, and then I'm going to click on its name, double click on its name, and I'm going to type in color. Okay. Now I'm going to want to start with the bigger areas of the body, and in this case Stitch is blue. So let me select the paint bucket, and we will select a nice blue color. Okay, I think maybe we can go a little darker. We'll go with that one there. And these are the options that we have available to us with the paint bucket. Now, tolerance isn't going to make a difference in this case, so we're not going to really discuss it too much. Just keep in mind that the higher the tolerance, the more of the area the paint bucket might tend to cover. The lower the tolerance, the more it's going to stick to that pure color. And that's enough about tolerance for now. We'll learn more about that at a later time. Anti-alias isn't going to make a difference in this particular section here, but contiguous and all layers is definitely going to make a difference. What all layers will do is it will read the pixels that are painted in on all of the layers. For example, it's going to read what's on the layer that we have selected, but it's also going to look at what's painted on the outline layer, exactly this outline right here. So let me hide the outline layer, and when we hide the outline layer, whether all layers is selected or not, it's going to fill in the entire background because there's nothing else to stop it. There's no black outline or no different color to stop the paint bucket. Okay, and it doesn't have to be a black outline. It can be any color outline. So I'm going to click the paint bucket, and you'll notice how it's going to fill in the entire area. Okay, so we don't want to do that. We're going to undo that, and we're going to show you what's going to happen now with the outline layer showing. Now remember, we have all layers selected. So when we have all layers selected, it's going to read the black outline here, and now when I fill, the paint bucket will go all the way up to that edge, and it will fill in. Okay. Now if we don't have all layers selected, it's only going to read this layer. It'll be as if we were hiding this layer. So watch what happens if I try to fill in this area here. Once again, you noticed how it filled in the whole area. Okay, so we don't want to do that. We're going to go Edit, Undo Paint Bucket, and now we're going to make sure that we have all layers selected. Okay, and so now with that we can start filling in the areas of our character in what we want to be this shade of blue. Now, when I'm done with that shade of blue, then I can go ahead and select these other areas of color. And then I'm going to continue filling in the rest of our character with the other colors that I would like in those particular areas, using the paint bucket. And when I'm done with all of the colors, I'm going to start adding the dodge and burn, just like we did in previous assignments. So you should already be familiar with these steps. If you're not and you need a refresher course, you could review those exercises or ask your teacher for some help to remind you. And you can see how the dodge and burn, by adding it, is slowly starting to make the project look more three-dimensional, more realistic, a lot better than with just the flat colors. And when you're done with this part of the project, we're going to move on to coloring the outline next. And you'll notice right there we've got a pretty good looking project so far.